Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the LCM show. I have with me Steve Alexander Smith. He's an author of the book British Black Gospel, The Foundations of This Vibrant UK Sound. Steve is a senior biomedical scientist by profession and vocation. He is passionate about drumming and supports Huddersfield Town Football Club. If he had a chance to have anyone casting his life, it would be the one and only Denzel Washington. Hello, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me to the show.
Oh, it's so wonderful having you on this show. So tell me, when and why did you decide to become an author?
Do you know what? I became an author because I was actually encouraged to become an author. I developed my interest in not so much gospel music history, but history of music. I was a big fan of the library. My dad would take us to the library as kids, and growing up into an adult, what I do in my spare sessions, I used to spend a lot of time in libraries, whether it's local libraries, reference libraries. I just love research. Maybe that's a spin-off of my chosen profession, but in my spare time, if something interests me, I would more than take it to the limit. I just go beyond and dig up little snippets of information that isn't of any use to anybody. On this occasion, hugely interested in Black American music, rhythm and blues, soul, gospel, started to focus on American gospel. Then, over a period of time, it kind of occurred to me, okay, the gospel, the Americans seem to have their gospel music history tied down. But what about the British? Do we have an equivalent of is there a British gospel highway, a Chitlin circuit? Are there pioneers? So I went about, it was purely a labor of love, Lorraine, right? Where I went about, just dug up this stuff for the sake of it. And it actually took me 10 years.
10 years.
10 years, yeah. So threw bits and pieces together and just ended up with large mounds of stuff. I don't know why I was doing it. I was just driven to do it. Until my wife approached me one day and came across this material in the corner of my room. And she referred to me as a sub-intelligent human being. I won't say what the word was, and said, "What are you doing sitting on top of this gold mine? Do something about it." One thing led to another. Next thing you know, I've been invited to meet an agent who just happened to be in touch with a publishing company. On this occasion, it was Lion Hudson, who were, at this moment in time, fascinated with American gospel. And I think through, from what I gathered, through programs like X Factor and all these high-profile talent competitions, they knew that there was something going on in British gospel, British Black gospel. So, as I said, just to rewind, they just happened to be looking around for somebody that may be an expert, if you like, or interested in this history. One thing led to another. Next thing you know, I was sat around a table in Oxford, showing people what I'd done. Somehow it had morphed into a manuscript. They read it, they liked it. They offered me a publishing deal. Put it this way, it wasn't the type of deal where I could disappear off into the Caribbean, but it was decent. And they offered me support from their marketing, from their editing, and from various resources. And these scraps of paper morphed into what people see now on the shelves of British Black Gospel, and what a journey it was. So yeah, that was 10 years plus. They gave me a year to write it up. Yeah, what a journey. What a journey.
So I just know that there's so much information in this book. Obviously, you've taken 10 years to get it together. Is there a part 2, or is there something else you'd like to write? What do you see yourself doing as an author in the future?
The problem with me is like I get distracted. So I was recently putting together an autobiography of my upbringing. My parents arrived from Jamaica. They had 8 kids. We grew up in Huddersfield and started looking at that. Then I was diverted over to characters like Michael Manley, the Jamaican Prime Minister of the 70s, who introduced a political concept that they refer to as Jamaican Democratic Socialism. That was huge at the time. He was a brave man. To cut long story short, that philosophy was killed off. It became too close to the Cubans. Fascinated by the guy's determination and that lack of fear in going forward. But going back to British gospel, I've had a chat with the publishing company. I've always felt that if I do go to a part 2, it would have to be on a different level. As in, yes, it'd be a book, but it'd be more interactive, digital, if you like. How would I go about it? It wouldn't take 10 years this time. No. I would more focus on individual characters and then look at their development and develop it from there. Whereas before, it was based on different aspects of the music. But yeah, has it already been written? I think mentally I've already wrote it. It's just a question of sitting down and putting things together. And as usual, I've been gathering snips. I've noticed that there's been a flurry of MVEs. Gospel now, as you know, it seems to be more incorporated into the mainstream. We just recently saw the Queen's Jubilee celebrations. Gospel has to be part of it. So in that sense, we've arrived. I'm still there. The publishers at the moment, I have to say, the book is out of print. So I think they have another idea how the book should go, which kind of conflicts with how I want it to. But otherwise, yeah, I'm not fully retired yet. I'm semi-retired. So at some point, I'll sit down there and I'll put this together.
Yeah. So what kind of obstacles did you face when writing the book, and how did you overcome those obstacles?
I'd say I faced 3 main obstacles. One, Lorraine, was myself. I've got a day job. So I'd come home on an evening and rather than writing, I just stick it on the shelf and procrastinate. Yeah. The reason I managed to pick up pen and get on with it was that the publishing company, the marketing guys, very politely said to me, Mr. Smith, we'd like to give you a deadline, and your timeline, it's 12 months. Every now and again, they'd ring up and say, how are you getting on? And as that 12 months reduced down to several months, I realized, something, I've signed a contract here, I better get on with it. The other obstacle was, my book contains over 100 pictures. Every single picture had to be sourced for legal reasons. And if it couldn't be sourced, I made a disclaimer in the front of the book that every effort was made to touch. I would say the final obstacle was interviews. I had to interview certain individuals. I had to interview them when they were ready to be interviewed. Sometimes they took their time. Another sub obstacle, if you want to put it that way, is some people just didn't want to be part of it. They just said up front, look, I know I made an impact in gospel back in the day. I'm not interested. I don't want to be part of it. So I had to put the book together with the information that I had, that I accumulated. And I think I did the best I could with the information available.
Yes, yeah. I'm sure you did, because I've got the book myself, and I can certainly say that, wow, it's a wealth of information in there. Thank you so much for putting that together. So now tell me, if there's somebody that is out there listening to this and they want to become an author, what process would you advise them to go through? What advice would you give to them?
First of all, I would say get yourself a timeline and stick to it. If it's going to be 6 months, it's 6 months. Everybody's got a book in their head of some sort. Get it structured, right? Get the chapters down. Get a word limit down as well. A reasonably sized book these days now is about 70,000 words. All right, chop that into several chapters, 7,000 words a chapter, and dedicate yourself to writing so many words a day and stick to it. Every morning, if you leave home for 8 o'clock, like myself, to go to work, get up at 6 and do not leave that house until you've written 1,000 words. Some people may struggle with that. If you struggle on a particular day, then okay, make it up the next day, write the 2,000 words before you go to bed, but be disciplined, right? Now, the other thing, in terms of grammar and spelling and phraseology, don't worry about that. Get it down. If you so happen, like myself, to come across a really good publishing company, and I'm sure you will if your concept is good, they'll organize that for you. In fact, my book was changed completely. The way I felt I should write it, it was changed. The way it was presented, it was changed. The book cover, the title, everything was changed with mutual agreement. So, but the important thing is to get that idea down there just right. And when you get to the end of your 70,000, you'll probably step back and think, oh, okay, it'll look like a rough diamond, but then take it to the experts.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
If I use one word, sorry, it's just determination and dedication.
Yeah. So what has been the greatest influence in your life? What keeps you ticking? What keeps you going?
You know, the greatest influence, do you know, when it's a very interesting question, and I've been interviewed several times, Lorraine, and do I have a different answer for each question? I think I've thought more deeper about the question the more I'm asked. And once upon a time, in the very early days, I just reel off a number of names like Muhammad Ali, of course, Denzel Washington, my dad, for example. But, you know, maybe it's me ticking over into my twilight years. I recently had the flooring done. What influences me is somebody that, irrespective of your background, you put your heart into what you do. You've done a quality job. You've done a skilled job. I have respect. And yes, I'm influenced by anybody that goes about doing their task with the best of their ability and can step back and produce a quality material. Whether you're Ronaldo that plays football, whether you're a dancer, a gospel singer, if you put your heart into it and it comes off as a polished quality item, you can influence me.
Yeah. Now, the second part of that question was simply asking, what keeps you going? What is it that makes you wake up in the morning and say, yeah, I'm ready for the day?
Do you know, I mean, I've got children and I always feel I'm there for them as an example. I've got my health. You know, as long as I have my health, I'll get up and I'll push on. I've got plans too. As I said earlier, when I semi-retired, I retired and went back to work. I work for the NHS. I went back. Some people might say I'm crazy. I have a retirement plan. There's things I want to do further down the line. And I'm planning, I'm ticking boxes, and I'm driven. I'm driven by my faith too. A lot of people get up and think, oh my God, I've got nothing to live for. You know something? Christ said that we must live life and live it in its abundance. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Thank you ever so much, Steve, for being a part of the LCM show. Wishing you all the best for the future. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.